Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Meraki Quarterly. It is so great to have you joining us once again. I can see we have a really healthy participation number already, and it's growing all the time. So thank you for taking time out of your day to join us. We love doing these quarterlies, and as you're going to see, I mean, really, it is a great way to keep in touch with what we're doing here at Cisco Meraki. So with that out of the way, I want to hand things over to Grant, who's going to take us into updates around access networking wireless 6E. Over to you.
Fantastic, Simon. Thank you. I appreciate it. Let's jump right in. We have two primary things we want to talk about today. One, I will say, is big and powerful, and the other is small but mighty in a slightly different way. But I think the first question that we want to answer is, well, why Wi-Fi 6E and why now? And I think most of you are probably very familiar with this standard and the advantages that it brings. And we're very excited about the progress that we've made to bring this capability to the Meraki platform over the past really 60 days, give or take. And really the story here is all about capacity, flexibility, and security. You know, it's expansion into new channels and new spectrum to really ramp up and expand into that high-end Wi-Fi performance, open up that new, as we're kind of not carpool lane, but high occupancy lane, making sure that as new devices and new capabilities come on the network, we are ready to go without impacting the performance of other devices connecting to your wireless LAN. Secondly, of course, it is the requirement for Wi-Fi 6E to hold to the WPA3 security update, really making sure that, again, as we are adding new clients onto the network and people are bringing new devices and new workloads in, you are protected and you have the ability to protect those devices as you go. And then finally, the opportunity to deploy wireless in more flexible ways, looking at both low power indoor modes for those higher density capacity oriented challenges, those large campus environments, but also, you know, really making sure that we are getting the broader coverage that's suitable for public spaces and open spaces that can drive. I'm not going to go into all of these details, but Simon, I know this is something that you have done very recently, digging into episode 74 of the Meraki Unboxed podcast, where we go deep and wide on Wi-Fi 6E. If you haven't had a chance to check that out, I strongly recommend it. It's a great conversation. And I think that brings us to our next slide, which is, okay, how is Meraki making Wi-Fi 6E accessible? And this is through our flagship 6E access point, the MR57. Our customers who are deploying these already in their environments are finding that it is holding true to that wired-like access experience, both for the 6E devices that their executive teams and others are bringing onto the network, but also expanding that capacity and giving more flexibility with that flex radio to make sure that as people come back to the new campus, everybody's getting that the kind of rarefied special at-home wireless speed that we're used to when it's only us on the network, and when we're sharing it with thousands of others. And it's the opportunity, again, to connect all of this together, new capacity, more security, and more agility for those networks. Why is this important, right? You know, we're seeing this work in a number of different scenarios, but wanted to take a couple of the capabilities on the next slide, Simon, and kind of jump into where we're seeing this have a big impact and why this is so important to step up our game. We talked about a couple of these, but you think about those high density environments that we're enabling. Not only are we, again, opening up that spectrum, but the flex radio in the 57 gives additional 5 gigahertz support and more capacity into those high density environments. And the ability to toggle back and forth between those modes is incredibly powerful. When you're looking at mission critical environments where your ability to connect a device wirelessly is key, like healthcare, even point of sale and retail, the MR57 adds both PoE redundancy and ESL support to make sure we've got the best possible experiences for those users. We talked about the multi-gig 6E mesh, but then also think the final piece of this is, as organizations are building for these new workloads coming to the network, having the ability to span across all of these different standards for different kinds of devices is really giving you that future-proof capability as you scale out and scale up your environments. So that's the first piece around 6E. The final slide I have before I hand off to Adrian is that small but mighty. This is something you may have missed that was introduced into the Meraki Health capabilities recently. But the challenges around VLAN assignments are well known. Many times at the switch port level, these are manual, and as we know with networking, most errors are introduced through manual changes, and they can happen very frequently around the network. And so we have introduced a new single panel workflow to help identify, isolate, and troubleshoot these VLAN mismatches when they do occur, and make sure that you have the ability to get straight to the point of the problem and make that change is necessary. You'll no longer need to navigate multiple pages on the dashboard. Since we launched this a few months ago, we've proactively identified over 14,000 VLAN mismatches for our customers and helped all of them accelerate their ability to remediate. Certainly, we're not forcing you into a fix. We have the ability to configure these take the suggested fix or fix it on your own. But ultimately, the amount of time you're going to save tracking these down and rooting them out will be dramatically accelerated through all of this. So very excited to help everyone manage the new campuses as we're coming together. With that, Adrian, over to you.
Grant, let's get on to the next slide. Quick introduction. This is Adrian from the Systems Manager product team. We've got a couple of updates for those of you who are using Systems Manager to manage your devices. So the first two updates we're going to talk about better functionality on Android devices and security on Windows devices. And then we're going to cover some of the enrollment experiences. And finally, how with SecureX, we are bringing all the security endpoint information in a single pane of glass. Let's go to the next slide. So first of all, for those of you who are using Android devices and are managing either public or private apps with Manage Google Play, we've added a couple of options for you to accelerate or to postpone app updates. So many of us with Android devices often live in a world where the devices are updating your apps at a time of their choosing, right? You have no control over it. However, as an enterprise admin, sometimes you do want control over when these updates are pushed out, right? So two options are now being made available. There's the high priority option, which pushes the update as soon as possible when it is made available by the manufacturer of the app. And the other option is to postpone, okay? So the high priority updates may be for apps that might be requiring a day zero vulnerability fix, for example, right? And you want to get it out to all your devices as quick as possible. That's when you turn the higher priority update on. The postpone update, a typical use case might be some of you run businesses that have sensitive periods. For example, the shipping period before a big holiday season. I don't want any apps to be updated. I can postpone the app updates for a specific period of time so that my software environment on Android devices is stable. Okay, let's go to the next slide. The next one brings additional security to Windows devices. We've now enabled support for Windows Bitlocker encryption. Now, previously, encryption had always been available on Windows, but never been able to be managed directly with Meraki's Systems Manager. Now you can actually turn it on. You can collect encryption status on managed Windows devices, and you can set policies on them. All really important to enabling the zero trust posture for your fleet of Windows devices. Let's go to the next slide. And now for something a little bit more on the usability side, right? We've refreshed the enrollment experience with enroll.meraki.com. You will see in our documentation in most places where people are trying to enroll their devices, we are putting you to a new landing page, which has, besides a nicer UX, which is important, right? But it's got two major functionality bits on it. The first one is really SAML integration, being able to integrate with the identity provider of your choice, whether it's Azure, Okta, One Identity, as ADFS, right? You can actually now redirect the authentication experience to get to those IDPs. Now, more interestingly, for those of you who are using Duo as well, you can actually include Duo, inject Duo into the authentication experience and enable MFA when somebody's trying to enroll their device with Systems Manager. So that's one major functionality. The next one, which is important to many of our customers, is this customized branding, right? Now, many of your end users may not know who Meraki is. So you sometimes want to put up a page that advertises your company name instead of Meraki's name. Okay, next slide. And the most exciting update I have for you is actually something that just released a few weeks ago. Now, SecureX has been available for quite a while. Those of you who've used Cisco's other security products like Duo, Umbrella, Secure Endpoint will have already seen this. A couple of weeks ago, the Device Insights page was launched. The Device Insights page provides a single pane of glass that aggregates all the endpoint information from Umbrella, Duo, Orbital, Secure Endpoint, and other custom sources into a single dashboard. So this is a great place. It kind of brings in all the security related questions that you might have about your endpoints. Things like you want to find out what OS is running on the device and when did the device last log in to your Office 365 app. With Duo and Systems Manager, you can actually pull that data and have a single pane of glass that you can see all of that information. So all super interesting. That's the update I have for Systems Manager. Over to you, Imran.
Much, Adrian. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, or perhaps even good evening. Hope it's not, but if it is, good evening. I'm going to take you through the wide area networking session. The beginning part, we're going to focus a little bit on SD-WAN analytics. Next slide, please, Simon. I'd like to talk a little bit about why we're even looking at SD-WAN analytics. Really, what is it we're trying to achieve with this? So, as everyone knows, hybrid work really is here to stay. It is going to be a staple initiative for most organizations. Now, in order to actually make hybrid work really, really good, what do we need to do? So really, when we're looking to increase productivity for remote workers or even office workers, that high quality of experience is really going to be reliant on this thing we call the internet. And it's a very complicated maze. So when we look at how remote and office workers are trying to access SaaS and web applications in particular, there's been a huge shift over the past few years. There's no longer this backward architecture through the data center or HQ. You want to go directly to the internet, something that's recommended by most SaaS providers as well to optimize performance. So that's clearly one area in which we're really very dependent on how the internet is performing. Secondly, hybrid cloud. So whether you're connecting users to your own data center or users in public IS environments. Again, even if it's through a VPN tunnel, that tunnel is going to be relying on an uplink. So really, how do we decipher and make the most of this internet maze that we are dependent on? Next slide, please, Simon. As you all know, this is not something new to us. We have been working on this a while. Now, what we've done is, as most of you will have noticed, we acquired a company called ThousandEyeso a couple of years ago, and we've been diligently working to make sure how we can incorporate this into the work that we've already done with the likes of Web App Health, WAN Health, and VoIP Health to really complement and ultimately make it extremely straightforward to identify if there's an issue, and then secondly, really reduce that mean time to resolution dramatically of isolating what the root cause of that issue was in the first instance. So we've now integrated internet insights from ThousandEyeso directly into the Meraki dashboard. So if you have a Meraki Insight license or an SD-WAN Plus license, log into your dashboard and you will see this just appear magically. Now, what this actually does is a couple of things. First of all, it's further validation of information you might be getting from Web App Health. So let's say, for example, Web App Health is showing you that for the Office 365, there's an issue for certain clients and the wide area network is to blame. Now, what you can do is come onto Internet Insights and actually validate outside of user traffic being passed, whether this is actually indeed the case in your local area where you're seeing this issue. Not only that, this is independent of any traffic that you're passing. So this is actually showing you a great overview globally of how ISPs are performing. So you can actually use this data and information to understand if you are continually receiving or seeing issues for your ISP in your specific area. Is this seen by others in your specific area, or in fact, might you benefit from considering another ISP? So it really complements what we're doing at the moment. It's included within that SD-WAN Plus license, and it's also going to give you that ability to benchmark. There's much more to be coming from the ThousandEyeso integration later in the year, so keep your eyes peeled. But for the time being, I'm going to pass on to my colleague, Prateek. Over to you, Prateek.
Thank you so much, Imran. Good morning and good afternoon to everybody. We've got some exciting announcements continuing along the vein of SD-WAN. On the next slide, I'd like to announce some exciting news, and that is the cellular gateway that you know and love, the MG41, is now been certified for AT&T FirstNet. Recall, AT&T FirstNet is a priority public safety data lane that was established by the federal government and exclusively run by AT&T. What this means is this device, as the way that we're working evolves with hybrid work and smart spaces, so too is the Meraki platform overall. This device will enable you to quickly deploy pop-up LANs for disaster response, run mission-critical applications such as emergency management software, and manage all of your emergency response networks centrally with ease from the Meraki cloud. On the next slide, why does this matter? Well, first and foremost, the FirstNet data lane actually gives public safety agencies priority access. What this means is their data takes precedence and priority over everyone else's demands on that particular band. It is dedicated to first response, which is huge when we're trying to help foster these initiatives to help save lives. Band 14 compatibility ensures that your network works even over long distances. In emergency response, minutes matter. So this MG41, now certified by FirstNet, was designed for fast and reliable deployments that include zero-touch provisioning, automatic firmware updates, and the like. And then last but not least, no matter how harsh or challenging the conditions are, the form factor and the strong build quality of the device with IP67 rating and more was designed to ensure that you can deploy this truly anywhere. I'd like to now hand it over to my colleague, Sarah Lynn, to talk more about IoT.
Thank you, Prateek. Hi, I'm Sarah Lynn Dasick from our product marketing team, and today I'll be sharing the smart camera updates with you. Next slide. So in the last quarter, we've really been focused on making our smart cameras smarter to help organizations design better smart spaces. And we've expanded our camera analytics functionality, as well as added new ecosystem partners and apps to help make that even easier for you. And we'll go over those updates, and then before we close out, we'll talk about the importance briefly of measuring what you can see before turning it over to MT. Next slide. So hopefully by now you're at least somewhat familiar with the built-in analytics in our MV smart cameras. We have people and vehicle detection. We've turned that into office occupancy and added audio analytics as well. And these create the building blocks to address a wide variety of use cases, everything from understanding customer behavior patterns, staffing needs, or queue times in retail, to looking at desk and meeting availability or long-term facility planning in office spaces. And of course, things like alarm system or access control integration can help increase safety and security for all. Next slide. But while people and vehicle detection provide a wide range of applications across use cases, different types of businesses have different types of concerns. So office spaces are looking to improve the employee experience and productivity. Commercial spaces like lobbies or retail stores are trying to improve interactions, create better guest experiences. And then restricted spaces are concerned with things like compliance, increasing efficiencies, or automating quality control. And in order to do those things well, organizations need to get insight into things that are unique to their environment. Next slide. So to support that, we've introduced custom computer vision, or custom CV. And this allows customers to bring their own detection model to our camera. So they take their model, they install it on our camera, or run directly in real time on the MV Smart camera so that they can understand what is important to them. So this is part of the existing MVSense offering, and custom CV is going to allow organizations to leverage the unique edge architecture, cloud management of MV smart cameras to use video analytics to address a wide variety of very unique use cases. So for example, a quick service restaurant could use it to automate quality control on food items that are being prepared to reduce waste. A warehouse could use it to understand capacity and improve efficiencies, and others could use it to increase safety and compliance. Next slide. So running custom CV on our cameras is as easy as installing a TensorFlow Lite model on the camera, and then you're off to the races. But for customers who don't have an existing model for what they need or a team of AI experts to design a model, our recently announced partner, Cogniac, can actually help with this. They're one of our ecosystem partners, and they offer a no-code, low-code visual intelligence platform that will enable organizations to build their own custom CV models. It supports the complete development workflow from image collection, labeling, and model development. And again, these models are deployed easily to the MV cameras. Next slide. If you're interested in learning more about what we're doing in Edge AI or custom CV, we do have an upcoming Tech Talk in May. We'll have speakers from our ecosystem partners like MELDCX and Cogniac, as well as our own Cisco and Meraki development team. You can check out our recent blog post to learn more and register, and I'll pop that link over into the chat as well to make it easy. Next slide. Now, finally, creating a smart space is understanding more than what you can see, because you can't measure what you don't know, and it's really important to understand your total physical environment, everything from temperature to humidity, noise, and all of that. So to that end, I'd like to turn it over to Dave Hoysen to talk about exciting updates to our MT sensor line.
Thanks, Sarah Lynn, and hi everyone. My name is Dave Hoysen. I work on the product marketing team here at Cisco Meraki. And if we go to the next slide, we had a really exciting last quarter. We expanded the MT sensor portfolio. We released new ways to connect with MT. We had some new updates to help you get data your way. And last but not least, we now offer some new analytic tools to gain additional insight with the MT sensors. So if we go to the next slide, we'll go ahead and get started. So the MT sensor portfolio first came about in October of 2020 with the introduction of the MT10, 12, and 20 sensors. That's temperature, humidity, water leak detection, and door open and close. These sensors were really designed to be placed inside of IT spaces, your network closets, your server rooms, your data centers, to really protect those business critical assets, to be on the lookout for that HVAC system that may have failed and now the room is starting to heat, or that pipe that is starting to leak on your business critical equipment. However, last June of 2021, we started to expand outside the network closet with the introduction of the MT11 temperature probe sensor, which is designed to monitor the temperature of refrigerated environments to protect perishables like foods and medicines and other variety of products. And now I'm excited to announce that just a couple of short weeks ago, we've further expanded the portfolio with the introduction of the MT14 indoor air quality sensor and the MT30 smart automation button. If we head over to the next slide, we'll start with the MT14 and kind of give a little deeper dive on this new model. So air quality is top of mind for many organizations. For example, schools want to provide safe learning environments for their students and faculty, whereas employers want their employees to feel safe as they start to return back to the office. And so the MT14 can enable a lot of those exciting use cases by focusing on health and focusing on comfort. So MT14 focuses on health by measuring the overall air quality of a space. TVOCs, which are your paint fumes, your cleaning products, and other chemicals that could be in the air. And then PM2.5, which is your things like pollen and dust and smoke and other forms of particulate matter that could be floating in the air. MT14 also focuses on comfort by measuring temperature, relative humidity, and ambient noise levels. All of these are to try to help improve that air quality of the space and provide those safe environments. If we go to the next slide. The MT30 Smart Automation button is a really exciting product. I cannot wait to see all of the different use cases that this sensor starts to enable. It's exactly what it looks like. It's a smart button that can streamline processes. It can create new workflows. So just for a couple examples, MT30 could be used inside of a retail or a hospitality establishment where a customer could press the button to receive assistance from staff members. Or MT30 could be used on a manufacturing line so that a worker could press it to request new material if their material has depleted. So a lot of exciting use cases spanning across many different verticals. But to help enable these use cases, we came out with a brand new automation builder on the Meraki dashboard that makes it effortless to create these workflows. And it also includes some native integrations with Meraki products as well. So for example, on the automation builder, you can set MT30 up to capture a timestamped MV snapshot. You can enable or disable a MR SSID. You can toggle on and off an MS switch port. And then you can send push notifications, SMS, email, all with a custom message. And then last but not least, you can create webhook alerts if you want to integrate MT30 with other digital systems. MT30 is IP55 rated, so it does offer some protection against rain and dust, so it can be used in a variety of outdoor applications as well. If we go to the next slide. So just to transition a little bit now, we'll talk about some of the new features that we came out with over the past quarter. So first and foremost, all of the MT sensors can now leverage MV2 as a supported gateway to get the sensor data up to the Meraki dashboard. So for those of you who are not as familiar with the MT portfolio, they do require at least a MV camera or an MR access point to be used as the gateway to get the sensor data up to the cloud. However, when MV2 was launched, the MT sensors, it did not work as a supported gateway. However, being a cloud-first company with a software-defined architecture, we are able to push out these updates and continually improve our products and make them smarter over time. And now with the latest MV firmware, we can now use MV2 as a supported gateway for MT. If we go to the next slide. This is another really exciting update. So when I think of IoT, when I think of sensors, I think of things like APIs and MQTT and connecting all of these digital systems. And so I'm really excited that we have recently opened up our APIs and MQTT telemetry stream available for the MT sensors. So this means that you can use the MT sensors, use that data to create custom visualizations for analytics, to integrate sensor data with your building management systems to increase efficiency, or you could just store that data in a long-term cloud database for historical record keeping and auditing. We go to the next slide. And the last feature that I wanted to highlight that we came out with last quarter was a brand new reporting feature to help identify trends, anomalies, and other areas of concern. These are automatically generated reports to help you understand your spaces. It compares week over week sensor activity, and it uses statistics to identify the most active sensors and those that are alerting the most frequently. And with that, if we go to the next slide, I would like to now hand it off to Anna to talk about the API marketplace.
Sounds great. Thanks, David, for that awesome update. Hi, everyone. I'm Anna Nenig, and I'm a Solutions Marketing Manager for Meraki, and I'm here to give you your API and Marketplace update. So next slide, please. The first one is a really important one, and that's the importance of customers migrating to Dashboard API version 1. We recently announced the deprecation of API version 0, and we're still seeing quite a few customers still operating on 0. It's really important that we're sunsetting 0 so that folks can migrate to version 1 and take advantage of all the enhancements that are implemented in version 1 and reduce the number of support issues. We also see this as an opportunity to really improve the consistency with the overall developer experience. We've been working pretty aggressively to notify as many customers as possible that the end of the grace period is coming up in August 5th, where we're not going to be able to support escalations and operation is not guaranteed. So it's really, really vital that you, if you are aware of anybody who is still operating on version 0, to move to version 1. So if you're aware of anybody within the community, whether that's partners, customers, IT leads who are still operating on 0, please encourage them to send, I encourage you to send them to the Meraki community post here, or visit the post here. You can link on the QR code, and there's a whole community post about FAQ and all the background on this. So it's really important to take advantage of this. Thank you very much. Let me move on to the next. The next up is some really exciting content that we've been pulling out over the past couple of months. This is a reminder of our API webinar series. These series are really putting you front and center and getting you hands-on with our API experts on a number of different topics that are going to help you stay knowledgeable on APIs. These webinars are super informative. We kicked off the series just a month ago with the Getting Started series, which is now available on demand. We just completed last week a series on no-code integrations, which was really great. We gave homework. It was a lot of fun. It was on Google Sheets API and API bots. And we have a couple coming up that are on the radar. I know we talk a lot about marketplace apps across all of our different initiatives, and this is going to be a really great place to learn about pre-built applications. And we're also going to get into Python as well. So again, I encourage you to scan this QR code. We have a community post that allows you to follow the series and get access to the on-demand sessions as well. So we look forward to seeing you there. And if you have any questions or ideas about how you'd like to see some API content on these series, please feel free to reach out to me. Next slide, please. So speaking of continued great content that we have available to everyone, I wanted to give you some insight on a really great presentation that was given by Bryant Che, who's the Director of Engineering for Meraki. Did this really great tech day presentation on the evolution of Meraki's cloud architecture and the growth of the Meraki cloud. In the session, if you scan this and you get a chance to take a look at it, you're going to learn about how we're leading the edge and the charge of modernizing the infrastructure and containerization, Kubernetes, and the hybrid cloud overall. So again, feel free to scan this code and it's going to guide you directly to Bryant's presentation. It's really great content. Feel free to share it with your teams. I think you'll really enjoy it. Next slide, please. And finally, one of my favorite things to do is to highlight marketplace partners. And the one I want to talk about today is Cloud4Y. Cloud4Y is one of the leading enterprise guest Wi-Fi solutions. They offer location marketing analytics capabilities, and they enable companies to easily manage their guest Wi-Fi services, but they're also doing this by driving revenue. So with Cloud4Y, companies can understand the behavior of guests in their locations and then send them relevant content. And this relevant content can come in the form of advertisements, coupons, and surveys, and a lot of other ways to get them to make better informed business decisions. So this is just a quick snapshot of some of the key features that Cloud Wi-Fi offers. Flexible guest Wi-Fi management, unlimited ready-to-use connectors, customization of the data, and then you can also get on-site behavioral metrics. So I encourage you to learn more about Cloud4Y. I encourage you to browse the hundreds of apps that are available at your fingertips, and all of these apps are intended to help improve your business today. So visit us here. You can scan again at apps.meraki.io.
And thanks to all of our presenters today. As always, on the quarterly, we cover so many different bases across our portfolio. And, you know, one of the things that I'm really excited about at the moment is that we are starting to see in-person events happening again. And perhaps the most important one of those coming up very soon is Cisco Live, returning to in-person here in the United States. So June 12th to 16th, mark your calendars. We are going to be in person in Las Vegas, Nevada. And we'll also be online. So you have an opportunity to join Cisco Live from wherever you are and join in on many interesting sessions, breakouts, presentations, and also some great entertainment as well. So it's also worth putting on your calendar for that reason. So here's a look at a couple of the artists who are going to be making an appearance at Cisco Live. So a breadth of different entertainment across there. I also know that they always have a DJ playing really cool music at Cisco Live as well in the foyer areas when you're moving around. So do come along to that event. We would love to meet you there. We're so excited to be getting the Meraki team over to Vegas for that event. Okay, it's time for our Q&A section. We've all been looking forward to this, building up a few questions during the course of the presentation today. I would like to, before we jump into that, just reiterate the survey. So you've seen a few QR codes popping up on the screen. It's high fashion right now to put a QR code on your slides. So I'm jumping on that bandwagon, and this is the most important one, I have to say, because we really want to hear what you think about the Meraki Quarterly and your ideas for how we can make it even more valuable to you. As I said, we spend quite a bit of time putting this together for you. And, it's a presentation. We're broadcasting, essentially. So we want to make sure we're hitting the mark. And here's your opportunity to tell us what you think. So please do take advantage of that survey on this occasion. And with that, I would like to get into some question and answers. A couple of general comments, having a look at what came in on the Q&A. First of all, we definitely did see a few questions coming in around how to set certain things up, how to configure certain capabilities. Really questions that are suitable for our support team. So do please take advantage of our support at Meraki. It's part of what you pay for with your license. And of course, our support team is available 24/7 wherever you are to help answer those kinds of questions. So that would be my recommendation there. And apologies if we weren't able to get to any of your specific config-based questions in the Q&A. Another thing I saw a couple of comments around was supply chain. And of course, it won't be a surprise to anybody on the quarterly today about supply chain issues, which frankly are affecting all of us in both our professional and personal lives at the moment. There certainly are some challenges there. And Meraki's operations team is working around the clock with all the vendors that we partner with to try to increase the velocity of deployments and deliveries of Meraki equipment. Some best advice to give you if you have any concerns around any orders you have is to reach out to your representative at Meraki or at your partner and make sure that you follow it through there, because that's really the best way to get that answered accurately. So with that, let's get into some specific questions. I'm going to read through some of the questions that came in and fire them off to our panel today. So first up, Imran, we've got one for you. Could you explain a little bit more around how licensing works with AnyConnect?
So it's a bring your own license type model. So for those of you who are newer to MX, a few quarters ago, we were very pleased to announce the support of AnyConnect with MX. And so it works very simply. So if you want to integrate that with your MX, bring along your AnyConnect license to MX. And I think we've posted a link to the config steps, but that's all you need to do. Simple as that.
Thanks, Imran. Sarah Lynn, as always, we get always good number of questions around the cameras, which is always exciting. Exporting footage from MV. Could you just sort of clarify for us what the options are that are available we have today?
Yeah, so I think the question was around being able to combine exports from multiple cameras into one file for easier sharing. So that capability is available. We do have a combine exports feature in the Meraki Vision portal. So once you've exported the footage that you need, you can go into the exports page, select the video files that you want to combine. You can reorder them and combine them into a single file, name that file whatever you need to, and then easily share it to make it easy to, there will be automatic like place cards in between each individual camera export with the name of the camera, the date and time for that as well.
Awesome. We also had a question around roles on MV. So I think the question was around if we have security staff and we maybe don't want to give them access to all of the networking stuff on Meraki. So how do we handle that?
Yeah, so we have a specific user type for cameras. They're limited access roles or camera only admins, where you can configure these types of users to give them access only to cameras, so they won't have the ability to even see much less touch anything else on the network. You can set these up to give them access to all cameras in an organization or a network or just individual cameras, as well as configure their video viewing permissions. So you can have someone, maybe a person who's just monitoring at a security station viewing live video only. You can give someone the ability to view live and historical video, or give them the ability to view live, historical, and export video as well. And to simplify this even more, we did release the Vision portal the end of last year, and the Meraki Vision portal is a camera only user interface just for watching video, investigating video. So they can log in directly to vision.meraki.com and they won't see anything dashboard related or Meraki dashboard related. It'll just be kind of a VMS-like experience for them when they're interacting with video.
Awesome, thank you. We had a couple of questions around the MR57, and not surprisingly, because we're super excited about this brand new AP and its new capabilities covering Wi-Fi 6E. First was around availability. So I'm aware certainly that we are shipping those now, and I've actually seen first customer receipts, people tweeting proudly. I think excited about getting those unpackaged and deployed. And I think one of the things that I've seen as far as feedback is concerned is people are really appreciating the fact that it's using a standard universal Cisco mount, so super easy to switch out and get those MR57s up on the wall. We also had a question around, again, referring really to MR57, its new capabilities around 6E, and its ability to support high density environments. Minsei, I don't know if you want to just jump on and make a few comments around what it is that's so great around 6E, why people should care about that. Do we have Minsei? Okay, I'll cover it for now. I mean, as far as 6E is concerned, the main thing is that we have new spectrum being opened up. It's already been approved here in the United States, and it's going through the process of being approved in other countries right around the world. So this is brand new spectrum and gives us far more channels that we can work with to provide coverage in especially high density environments, because it means we have fewer instances of overlapping channels, which of course is what creates that interference and problems for wireless generally. So if you are looking to go into brand new deployments that are aimed at high density, I would take a serious look at Wi-Fi 6E as a way to future-proof those environments as far as you can. Okay, Systems Manager, questions for Adrian. First one was around SAML integration and its, the level of support for Azure and multi-factor authentication. Adrian, could you say a couple of comments on that one?
I think some of the comments were around trying to get SAML integration with Duo on a VPN client. AnyConnect client is actually supported. I've posted a link in one of the questions that directs you to the AnyConnect setup that you can be used to integrate it with SAML, and you can integrate it with Duo in that fashion, right? So you should be able to get multi-factor authentication with the AnyConnect client. There was another question on using the Windows native VPN app. I am looking for some resources. Some of these might be available outside of Meraki, for example, with Duo or with Windows directly. If I do come up with some of these in the meantime, I'll post it on the chat. Otherwise, I think, Simon, your recommendation of reaching out to support was a great one.
Yeah, and just before we let you go as well, Adrian, I saw something around SecureX. So what are the requirements to take advantage of that capability?
Yes, SecureX comes free with any of the Cisco security products, not the Meraki products, the Cisco security products. So if you have an umbrella license or a Duo license or a secure endpoint license, you should be able to get access to SecureX. And it comes for free, yes.
And it comes for free. I heard that at the end. Okay, we had a question around MR and whether those APs are weatherproof. We certainly do have a range of external access points and antennas. So If you want to take advantage of deployments out of doors, then just take a look at our website, have a look at the models on MR, and you'll certainly find what you're looking for there. Pratik, we had a question around FirstNet. I wonder if you could just spend a couple of moments just elaborating a little bit on what FirstNet is, who it's applicable to.
Sure. So AT&T FirstNet is a dedicated cellular network run and operated by AT&T. And essentially what it does is it provides priority cellular access for safety and security organizations throughout the United States. It was established by the federal government by mandate, and it actually takes advantage of Band 14, which is shared with commercial and consumer traffic. But again, in the event of an emergency, the public safety organization's traffic takes priority and precedence over it. So it kind of gives them and ensures that they have priority access at any given moment. The device being certified by AT&T FirstNet means that it can be deployed and use that special AT&T FirstNet cellular plan that they provide to these organizations.
Thank you very much. David, around gateways for IoT sensors, just to clarify how those work, what is it that's special about the way we do it at Meraki?
Yeah, great question, Simon. I saw a few people asking this, so this is a great one to address. So the MT sensors, they can connect to either Meraki wireless access points, the MRs, or the MV smart cameras. And they use Bluetooth Low Energy to connect to either of these gateways. A complete list of the supported models can be found on the Meraki documentation website. I think I sent the link to a few people, but I'll put it in the chat as well. And one of the reasons that we kind of designed the sensors with this architecture is when we looked at the way that legacy sensors were designed, they were really hard to deploy. They had their own on-premise servers. They required all these expensive cable runs. They required calibration at site. And we knew that there was a better way to do this. And Meraki, we love to simplify everything. And so with our sensors now, all you have to do is put the batteries into it and it'll automatically just connect to the gateway. You just put the batteries in and stick it on the wall and you automatically just have sensor data. And because we're using Bluetooth Low Energy, it's very, very low energy. It's in the name, right? So all of the sensors can be deployed for up to 5 years for the most part, just running on battery alone. And also because they're not using, I know there were some questions about why the sensors don't use Wi-Fi, why Bluetooth. And there's a couple reasons for that. The energy consumption is one of them. But then also because it's not using Wi-Fi, it's not another node on the network that you have to dedicate subnets for. You have to dedicate IP addresses for. You have to dedicate special firewall and routing rules for. So it really simplifies it, the deployment for getting the sensors where you need them, quick and easy so that you can focus on your business.
Thanks, David. And I don't know if you touched on it there, but there was also a question around range. Yeah,
great question. So Bluetooth uses the 2.4 gigahertz spectrum. So this is very similar to the 2.4 that Wi-Fi uses. So you can expect a similar range with the sensors as you would get with your 2.4 band on your Wi-Fis. Now, this obviously will depend on what kind of obstructions you have in place. Are there walls between the sensor and the gateway? What is that wall made of? Is it just drywall? Is it cinder block? And so a lot of that will depend. But again, you can expect that similar range as you would get with your 2.4 band on Wi-Fi.
Thank you very much. Sarah Lynn, back to you. We had a question around alarm detection and how that works. Could you just maybe clarify a little bit on the approach we take there?
So what we're doing on the cameras is using computer vision to detect sirens and alarms. We actually take a short clip of the audio, we convert that into a sound wave and are looking at that sound wave to say this is a siren, this is an alarm. So that's what we're doing. And when we talk about integration into kind of alarm systems and things like that, we really look at being able to notify you when an alarm is going off and in a certain area based on the camera that's detected. And because of that linkage with the camera, you can easily view relevant video to review it, triage it, and start taking action on the event if necessary.
And I also saw something towards it, hopefully I'll get this right, around plans to have users who are assigned SAM or camera roles redirected to Vision Portal.
Simon, that's a roadmap question.
Ah, yeah, we don't do those on the quarterly, do we? Okay, thank you very much
well,
for that question.
We don't have that. We have the ability, if people log in, there's a prompt to push them there. So.
Yes, obviously we can't answer roadmap questions, but we are listening all the time. So, I mean, that's part of what we're doing here. And there are some great ideas that always pop up as we go through these. Okay, David, one more for you around the MT sensor that requires additional power on USB-C. Could you just run through that one more time?
Yeah, so the MT14 indoor air quality sensor that I highlighted during the session today, it does have the ability for persistent power via USB-C. This is required to monitor the PM2.5, the particulate matter that is 2.5 microns or greater in size. That's a very power-hungry sensor, and so in order to be able to support that that measurement, we have to run it on USB-C. Otherwise, the battery would drain pretty fast. In addition to that product, I will say that 5 of the 6 sensor models do offer USB-C ports on them, so that if you want to run them on USB-C for backup, for longevity, for whatever reason, that can be done. Just the door open and close sensor does not have a USB-C port. Mainly because it's on a door, doors open, they close. It'd be kind of challenging to run cables on there.
Great, thank you. And for the very last question, we're just about out of time. I'm going to pass this one to Anna, a question around API training, lots of enthusiasm. How can people learn more?
Yes, so we have a whole catalog of content that you can browse, and I know some of you might have something very specific. So if there's anything that falls outside of that catalog that I posted into the chat, feel free to contact me. We don't pretend to have everything and know everything at once, and we're always looking for new ideas and things that we may not be addressing in our existing educational learning materials. So feel free to reach out to me, and we're happy to explore that with you.
All right, thanks, Anna. Okay, time to wrap things up. Thank you very much again for taking time out of your day to join us for the Meraki Quarterly. We always enjoy doing these. It's quite a fun hour. We got through an awful lot. Thanks for sticking with us. Please do take that survey if you haven't already. We'll share that link afterwards as well. Love to hear from you and see what you think of these sessions. Until the next time, it's time to say bye-bye for now. Hopefully see you at Cisco Live.